Hello all. So today it's going to be a continuation of the previous session, that is two-dimensional sketching. Alright, I welcome you all to the tutorial. So I'm just going to click on new. I'm just going to create my sketcher. I'm just going to select my random plane. Now I just have a random plane. So the sketch that we're going to do today is, it is an arbor press base and it has all the dimensions here. So just for a quick view, we just look at the dimensions. Alright, and everything that you see the values here, right? So these are the dimension constraints, and whatever you see here, the symbols, so these symbols are nothing but the geometric constraints. So let's go ahead and try to draw the sketch. So whenever you draw a sketch, focus on the major outline, so the basic outline of the sketch. All right, so first let's try to create this outer sketch. So let me start off with the base. It's 110.5. Just select the line, just draw a line. Okay, let me switch off the continuous auto dimensioning. Okay, so that we can learn it a little more better. So I first have this line here, and I'm going to draw another line, and let's draw a rough figure about this. Okay, and you see this the trace lines. So the trace lines is basically shows like where exactly this point meets up with the other point. Okay, so that's a really good option, and just click here. So now we have the basic profile. So here we need this particular baseline. We've got this outer curve is covered, and let's try to make this the mid of this particular y-axis, the vertical axis. Okay, so for that I'm going to use geometric constraint, and the shortcut for geometric constraint is C. I'm going to click on the midpoint constraint, and always ensure this is checked on. Click on this line, select the vertical constraint. Okay, so now this is constraint. Let me do the same thing even with this. So even that is in the center. Okay, so midpoint, just click on the line, just select the line, it's all there. Okay, so now what is the dimension here? 110.5, and this is 77.5. so just hit on D for dimensional constraint, select invert. You can just select this point and select this point and just drag it up, and you can just zoom out a little. Okay, so this is 0.5, and this is so just double click on this and you can change the value. 110.5. awesome. This one would be 77.5. okay, and you can use Control F for fit, or you also have the option here. Okay, so now if you see here, it looks a little shorter here, so let's check why exactly it is. So we need to check the other dimensions as well. So let's give this length, the overall length, 138.8. okay, info, let me select this line. I'm just going to zoom out a little, just going to place it here. 0.8. Okay, just gonna give fit. Okay, that sounds good. So looks like it's still moving because we are not given the remaining dimensions. So first we need to align this with give a dimension with respect to the horizontal and the vertical. All right, so this vertical thing is covered. If you notice, I would not be able to move this particular thing even more, this line. Okay, this is because this dimension is already given, the horizontal dimension. Okay, and I've already given a midpoint constraint for this. So now what I need to do is I'm going to give this particular dimension. So with respect to the sketch horizontal axis, either I need to give this dimension or this dimension. Any one would do because we already defined the length here. Okay, so open dimension constraint again, rapid dimension, and I just select invert. I just select this one. Okay, so let me just give this something like 20. Okay, in case I want to geometrically constrain it, okay, I just hit control, just do control Z. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose geometric constraint, and I'm going to use can use collinear, and I just select this line, I just place it on the sketch horizontal axis. Okay, and so here I have it. And it's always better when you do it with respect to keeping it on the origin line, or at least at the midpoint exactly. So when you do the sketches, it will be really easy for you. Okay, so now it says sketch needs two constraints. Let's look at it. So like I mentioned in my previous class, the easiest way to find out is drag this. Okay, so you'll be able to drag this. That's the reason it says two constraint, because this length is not defined. Either you can define it by the length or you can define it by the angle. Okay, so let's see if there is a length in the diagram. Oh yes, here it is. It's 77. Okay, so it's mentioned as equal length, that equality symbol. So I'm just going to define 1 here. Okay, so that is 77. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check for the geometric constraint. Okay, so I'm just going to use the equal length symbol, and I want the same length as this. Okay, so I'm just going to select both of it. Okay, so now we have an equality constraint, and so its sketch is fully constrained. Okay, so let's add the remaining features. So we have a base profile now. Okay, and now let's try to add the other features. So we have one profile here and this one profile here. Okay, so let's do this profile first, this rectangle that you see. Okay, so it says 28.5, and these both are like equal length, and they've also given us the height, that is 35. So it's a rectangle with 28.5 cross 35. Okay, just zoomed out, and let me just select a rectangle. So I'll choose the first method itself by 2 points. So just place a random rectangle. Okay, and first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to geometrically constrain it, keep the midpoint, select this, and select the vertical axis. Okay, so now it's at the midpoint, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to define the height and the length. We have our values now, and double click and change the values. 28.5. okay, and then next value that we have is 35. Okay, so now what we need to do is let's check the drawing. So if you see, this 35 begins from the top of the line, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to make that particular line collinear with this particular line, okay, with the baseline. So hit the geometrical constraint again, select the collinear line, and select this line, and select this line, okay. So now it lies on the same line. All right, and so here's a new command that I'm going to teach you, and that is nothing but trim, and the shortcut would be T. And if you want to look for the option, if you go to just expand this, and you would see this edit curve option. So under this edit curve, you have like a lot of other options like chamfer, fillet, quick trim, quick extend, make corner. So we'll discuss all of these options one by one as and when we progress in the sketch. So now I'm going to use the quick trim, which is a very easy tool, okay. So you can either select this, just select this line, it will give you a quick pick option, okay. There are two lines because the previous line as well as the new rectangle line, okay. So just select this, and now we have trimmed this particular thing, okay. So it says the sketch needs 3 constraints. So I hope you're able to guess like which is that. Is that correct? Do you realize which one is got deleted? Let me do the Control Z and show that to you. Do you see this? Like 2 dimensions which were there. So 28.5 was the dimension of this particular thing. So when I deleted this line, this got deleted as well, okay. So that's why it's always advisable, always do the geometrical constraint first and then do the dimension constraint, okay. So no problem. So let's try to trim this again, and while trimming, not just that, you can click it, you can even drag your line, just press and drag it. So you just draw a line and that line gets deleted, okay. So now let's dimension this, hit dimensional constraint D. So give an invert constraint, select the points, or because you select invert, you can even click on the line and drag it, you will get your dimensions, okay. So this one would be 28.5, and now your sketch says it still needs like 2 constraints. So let's see which constraint is that. So you see this, so the top thing is gone. So basically the vertical constraint is gone, okay. So what I'm going to do is, first thing, let me just give an equal constraint, okay, equal length, okay. So sketch needs 1 more constraint, all right, and that one constraint is nothing but your vertical constraint, okay. So the vertical constraint is this one, okay. So just select vertical, just click on any one line, okay, and just select this line as well. So both these ones are like vertically constrained, okay. So you see, I'll not be able to move this side, I'll not be able to move this side, okay. So sketch needs 1 constraint, so let's find out which constraint that is. So, and if you notice, this particular line has a midpoint constraint, but however, if you remember, we had given a midpoint constraint for the top line, and when we trimmed out that line, that particular midpoint constraint also got deleted, okay. So you need to be really watchful when you're working with the dimensions. And so what I'm going to do right now is that I don't need a midpoint here because anyways there's no line here, okay, and I'll be able to drag this. So I need to fix this, right? So I can fix this by giving it same dimension for this one as well as this one. So for these 2 lines, I don't have to give a dimensional constraint. So I'll just select the equal length, okay, and I'm just going to select both the lines, and that will make it fully constrained. All right, and so are we close enough to this sketch? Let's check. Okay, we've achieved this. This profile is achieved, okay. Okay, coming to this profile. So what is this? This is a semicircle, right? So what we can do is we can just draw a circle, and what would be the radius? So if you see that this will be the diameter from here to here, this point, okay. So that is 64.4. That will be your diameter. So let's draw that, and let's see from where it's starting. It's starting somewhere from the axis. So I'm not going to do it from the axis. So so if you want, we can still do it from the axis. So let me show you how to do that as well, so you would understand in case you go wrong as well, right? So you would be able to correct it, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete this particular constraint. Okay, right click, select from list this collinear constraint. Okay, just select and delete it. Okay, so now I have one constraint left, so basically I'll be able to drag it. So I'm just going to define the height first, and the height is 28. Okay, select dimension constraint. I'm just going to give a height. Okay, and now sketch is fully constrained, and let's try to draw the circle of diameter 64.4 from the center. Okay, and let it be circled by center point itself, center and diameter. Just select the center, and the diameter is 64.4. Okay, and now this is a picture I have. Okay, so we've achieved it. So now what I'm going to do is I need this particular line, and I don't want this line, right? So first of all, before I trim this out, I'll not be able to trim this out because I need a line. So if I have to show you the difference, so if I just click here, if I trim, the line is gone completely. Okay, but that's not what I need right now. So I need only this particular part of it to go. So either I can draw a line like this on the horizontal axis, and then I can trim it. Okay, trim this below part, or else we can just complete the curve as it is given. Okay, and then we can go ahead and trim it. So I'm just going to select line, just click anywhere on the surface, and if you're not able to pick, so if you see this particular thing highlighted in blue and red, so if you see here on the top, you have all these selection filters. Okay, so it has the end point, midpoint, control point, and there is something called as point on curve. Okay, so this point on curve, if it is switched off, you will not be able to select anything. If you see the red and blue is just highlighted here, it does not highlight it here. Okay, in case you have that problem, just make sure the point on curve is checked on. Okay, so you'll be able to drag it. Okay, so now I'm just going to click here. Okay, I'm just going to click here, and do you see the symbol now? The symbol which you see now is called a tangency symbol. So it's automatically taking a geometric constraint. Okay, and if it does not take it also, we can add it a little later, no problem. Okay, so from here I'm just going to select keep it vertical. Okay, just hit escape, and I'm going to do the same thing even here. So just select a line, and shortcut for line is L. Yes, okay, and now what I need to do is I need to ensure these both lines are tangent to each other. Okay, hit C, and I need to click on the tangency symbol. Okay, this one with this one, and it'll say constraint already exists, because when we had actually placed that particular line, right, so it had already given us that option, so of the tangency symbol, right? So that's why it says constraint already exists. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click, select from list. This is just for your understanding. Okay, tangency, and I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Select tangent constraint, and I'm going to delete it. Alright, so now the tangency is deleted, and if you see, I'll be able to drag it like whichever direction I want. I'll be able to drag it. Okay, see this? Alright, so what I'm going to do is geometrically constrain it first, tangent constraint. So I'm just going to click on this line, select this arc, click on this line, select, yeah. Okay, so now we've added the tangency again. Okay, and now what I need, it says sketch needs to constrain as basically because this length is not constrained, so that does not matter to us. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim out the lines. Okay, so so I need to trim this, 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 this, and this. Okay, so this is it says sketch needs 3 constraints. Okay, we'll figure that out. And for the trimming option itself, like I said, the easy way is to just drag it. Okay, so I'm just going to do a Control Z. All right, and I'm just going to drag it for you. So I'm just going to hit trim T, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this. Alright, so if you see, the curve is achieved. And now we need to see which one needs a constraint. Okay, we already given the diameter for this. Alright, and if you see, this particular length is not constrained. So if you notice this, I'll be you see this? This particular length is not constrained. So now I'm going to hit the geometric constraint, and I'm just going to hit the equal length. Okay, so I'm going to try and make everything equal here. So this is a collinear symbol. Okay, so don't get confused. This is an equal symbol. So this one with this one. Okay, I made it equal. So one more constraint remaining. I'm just going to make these two equal. Okay, and let's try to check which constraint is missing here. So I believe dimensionally everything is constrained here. Alright, the base profile is constrained and all of it. So let's check here. So this profile is constrained, 28, 64.5, 10.5. It's all done. Okay, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to zoom out. I'm just going to try to drag the points, okay, to check for the constraint. If you see, I'm able to move it up, right? So basically this length, like I said before, this length is not constrained. Okay, so though it's equal length, it just needs the value. Okay, so the value got deleted when I trimmed the line. So we had given this value before, if you remember, the 28. So that got deleted. So I'm just going to dimension this. Control, you can use vertical or inferred, anything would do. So just select the point and select the line, place it here, and the value would be 28. And now we need just one more constraint, and the best way to find it, like I said, is always to drag. And there's another way as well. Okay, so just hit C or D, either a dimensional constraint or a geometric constraint. Okay, so when you do that, you would notice that everything which is constrained is in green color. Okay, this is nothing but iso constraint. Okay, and this one, this red line that is there, right, it means it's under constraint. It will actually show you like which line needs constraint. Even if you open a dimensional constraint with D, it will still show you that particular direction. Okay, so it will. Now let's find out which side this needs to be constrained. Okay, so if you notice, this midpoint constraint has got deleted somehow. So that is the reason it's just moving. Okay, so this can be constrained by using the midpoint constraint. Okay, so make sure you select the line, okay, and select the vertex. So now it's fully constrained. All right, so here we have a sketch, and this is a beginner sketch. Okay, so in the next session I will discuss a little more intermediate sketch. Okay, and post that we'll get into the modeling. All right, and the other options of the sketch will be discussed along with it. Thank you.